Hi everybody, and I just want to say to Laverne Cox, I'm not your superwoman. No, 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 no. I'm not the kind of girl that you can let down and think that everything is okay. I'm only woman, yes. Hallelujah. Hi everybody. It is Princess Ariel. I just got through watching over 2 hours of the Olay and Friends featuring Laverne Cox. And it was interesting, needless to say, of all things. I'll just go ahead and we'll start listening in with this girl Quay talking, and then it goes on to Hope Giselle is going to talk right after Quay.
And it was shared maybe 1,000 times, but then the celebrity in her clipped it. Mama clipped it, and she put Laverne Cox teases dating her MAGA Republican NYPD cop ex-boyfriend, and that went viral. So this wasn't just, it kind of went viral. Mother wanted it to go viral. She, very a la Sydney Sweeney, I have great genes. I'm going to get the girls riled up so you can come to the show.
You can put that last name on that Sydney, because I'm about to be like, no, that's fiery.
That's Dominique.
Sydney Sweeney, the actress.
Laverne Cox.
The actress.
From Euphoria. From
Euphoria, yeah. And
not
from
the other Sydney, not the trans Sydney.
Oh, Sydney Star. Oh, I love Sydney Star too. I'm pro ho. I love Sydney Star.
That's
I'm
great.
a ho. I'm pro ho. And speaking of Sydney Star, and I'm gonna help you, Mother Laverne. I'm gonna give you a lifeline.
She has a Free Palestine shirt on.
Men, but I did it for money, so my coochie's a little more ethical than yours. So people have to, they have to let me slide on that one. And what I will say is you have done so much for the community, and you have brought so many women, so many trans people up. So a lot of people need to thank you for, instead of trying to tear you down, they need to thank you. Anyone who's holding up a camera, they owe that to you. I would have been okay, I'm kind of once in a generation talent, but I think a lot of these girls really need to be building you up, because when we build you up, we build all of us up.
I thought you were going to read me some more.
You want me to read you? Mother, let me tell you, if you let me open for you, I will defend you. If you let me open for you on the show, if you sign on to my short film as executive producer, Motherhood, I will defend you down.
She says her and Angelica Ross are working together to produce a show, and she wants Laverne to produce it.
Trannies don't disclose, these men don't disclose all of their fucked up politics. And so I did date a man who voted for Trump. He is from Atlanta. He's an entrepreneur. He was in his 20s, and he's also black. He's black, and not biracial, not Zendaya black, legitimately black. Okay? He's from St. Lucia. He likes to bend over and have his hole expanded. And this man exclusively dates trans women, and he is black. So, understand, you're saying that she dated her oppressor. We're all dating our oppressor if you're dating a man. Okay? And this is the type of PR that you'll get once you sign on as executive producer to Motherhood.
Executive producer, Laverne Cox.
I love us.
Okay, so that was Quay talking to Laverne and kind of basically just acknowledging her and giving her just due credit for openly discussing her situation in group format, because I think there's about 7 people in the Olay arena down there. I really like Dominique a lot. I can't really say I know who the person sitting next to Quay is, in between Quay and Giselle. It's some sort of person that is an intellect or a writer or a literary person, his commentary kind of went right over my head because it's not my pay grade, but that's okay. My bachelor's degree and master's degree where I went to school at was not at a HBCU, so, and I was in the midst of a hardcore self-induced situation with my own self. Like I was really going through it with my dysphoria. That's what I was trying to say. So it is what it is. But all of them seem to be very intellectually astute, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a level of conversation that's kind of over my pay grade, but I'm a realist. I really kind of like, I'm following a lot of scholarly people now that are older that actually work at HBCUs, so that's where I'm getting all of my information from, legitimate sources. Let's go ahead and listen in a little bit more. I think Hope Giselle's going to talk.
I love that.
I have unethical pussy, so I wanted to talk about it very openly because personally, when I saw that video,
That's the one
even
named
without
Cat
the
Black.
context,
Let
even
me
without
skip
the full
past
context,
her because I want to get on to Hope Giselle so you guys can hear what she said, and then I'll go into a little bit more of what I was thinking about this conversation with Laverne, because I've done several posts now talking about how this is kind of ridiculous to be having these conversations about who someone can and can't date because of the way this country came into existence. And that's through the, starting at the crime scene of stealing Africans and bringing them to a continent and forcing them to build everything. And then once everything is built, now you don't need them anymore. And you never gave them a dime. You never educated them or anything. They had to learn your language, learn your names, identify with you, adopt your God and all of that. Here's Hope. Let me see.
When Olay presented this, I was like, okay, she's here. So then at least if I'm going to be all of those things, y'all get to watch the person, feel how she's going to feel about it, and then make your decisions from that. So I want to say that. You not saying anything about this has been very intentional. But with that being said, like, just to keep it in mind, like, Laverne, you too old, right? And not old in the sense of like you've been around, to Dominique's point, longer than everybody here. And so there was a lot that you did after this where it was like, oh, like maybe I was naive. But I hate to say it, but I have very little tolerance for adults who say things like, oh, I was naive around things, and especially when it comes down to your politic. Like, one of my greatest inspirations around you, Laverne, is your politic, is your ability to dig into the governance, is your ability to know what the fuck is going on in the world, right? When twice that everybody needs to thank you, everybody who picks up a camera needs to thank you, hey, one of those people right here. So when I look at this person who I see as the strong, smart,
now Hope says she's married. She's married now
politics and
to an
understands how
African
this shit works.
American man.
But whether I always agree or whether I'm always going to lean the way that she's going to lean about it, I know that Laverne has made an educated decision, even if it's not the decision I would have made. And so I really struggle with giving too much grace on this, because when it comes down to it, I think about the fact that if you look around, right, to quote Kerry Washington, open up your pretty brown eyes and look the hell around, like, you'll see that of all people in this particular moment, we, us, black trans women, black women as a whole, don't have the liberty to, without good reason, give people any more ammunition to treat us like tertiary citizens. It's one of the biggest voices. No. Between you and Minister, y'all going blow for blow on the blow one, right? So as one of the biggest voices for the community, when I look up and I see not only this story, but the image that follows the story, I don't think that it's just about the MAGA thing. As a person who dishes out information and needs people to feel a certain way about this information because I already know that there's a perception of me, I know that had you got on there and you said, hey y'all, let me tell y'all about fucked up toys or a thing that happened to me a couple of years ago that I never thought I would be in. I never thought I would be in love with MAGA supporting. If you come to my show, you'll figure it out. I still want to know the tea. I'm not pissed that it happened because now I'm intrigued about where you're going from. Now I feel like you're inviting me into Dominique's earlier point. That feels like the type of mess that I want to be invited into because it feels like there's accountability. It feels like there's about to be atonement. It feels like there's growth and learning coming from delivery in that way. What you said and did, Laverne, felt like, and like you admitted, you were coming from a place of love because you were in the middle of rehearsal. When you bring that shit to us and you sit around and you say, oh, the blonde hair, blue eyes, he was so hot, he was this, he was that, I don't give a fuck what this man is. Because this man has actively voted against you, against me, against everybody that looks like us. It's not just a trans thing. He voted against black women.
That
He
part
voted against the
right
black
here.
men that are dying and being killed in the streets. He voted against black children that had to go up against these KKK
This part.
motherfuckers. He voted against that. And also, it wasn't enough for him. Can we say these things? You sat and said these things to white supremacists on CNN, on MSNBC, from the places that you have the privilege to sit and tell these motherfuckers about themselves as the black trans woman in politics. You've told these people racism wasn't enough, and that is the problem. So when you lay with this,
We can go ahead and stop. I just wanted you to hear a little bit of context of what Hope was saying. Now, my issue with all of this conversation with the Olay cast is that all of those same people are friends with the next now Angelica Ross. I don't know if you guys remember her, but she has a podcast. She was always the one that was pro-Palestine, freeing the children of Palestine, and she went on a whole political, thing that she was like just all about voting against Kamala Harris, and she wanted to vote for Jill Stein, which I knew Jill Stein is not about liberating anybody. She's just like she's just like the Orange Man. So I kind of tuned out of Next Now. I was kind of following her because I really liked her ever since she did Pose. But after all of her whole lifestyle change, her demeanor changed also. It went very dark in my perspective. She started caping for non-black people, which Jill Stein is not black. And she started caping full-time for, the liberation of Palestine, which I don't really have an issue with that. But when you're looking at this kind of a conversation as a black-centered conversation, it's 6, 7 people up there, all black, different shades of black, having a conversation at Laverne about who she chose to date outside of the color scheme. It's kind of superficial when it comes to Hope, Giselle, and all of them, because they're all friends with Angelica Ross, who was the whole time telling people to vote for Jill Stein. That's a problem. There's a hypocrisy in all of this conversation around Laverne, because it's like, well, you're friends with someone who didn't even want to vote for Kamala Harris. We wouldn't be in this situation now if you would have been on your Next Now podcast with all your millions of fans trying to save, democracy. Because now you're seeing it completely ripped apart, and you're seeing the beginning stages and the end stages of those Palestinian Arab people who are now suffering because of the choices y'all made to put the Orange Man back into office or whatever. And so that thing with Hope Giselle, it just feels very superficial. And that's, I don't know her. She ain't, me and her ain't friends. What she eat don't make me poop. So I don't have any animosity to her. I just stopped following people who are just basically to me, in my opinion, all of that blah, 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 and all that passion, it's just to get a check at the end of the day. Because if you really cared about your liberation, why are you sitting over there going to the house of Angelica Ross when her politics didn't align with Kamala Harris? Because that girl sit there on her podcast time after time after time and talked about the Democrats like a dog. And I'm not saying she doesn't have the right to do it. That's her choice. You have to make choices as people in this country, whether you decide who you decide to date, what you decide to date, who your cousins date, who your uncle date, who your relatives date. When the Africans were stolen and brought to the Americas, the oppressors, the ones who were taking them, were sleeping with those African women. And by the time they arrived to Americas, they were arriving with their little mixed race babies. by the thousands. And you can go and look in your little census data and get the deets on how many thousands of them were already here at the very first colony that arrived here. There were a lot. And so my problem with Angelica and this, all of them sitting on the stand, is they're all friends with Angelica, who sit there and caped for Jill Stein, and we knew Jill Stein wasn't going to do nothing for the liberation of black people, and she definitely wasn't going to do anything for the liberation of Palestine, which actually took votes away from the Democrats, because the whole time she preached so hard against the Democrats, it just mind-boggled me. I said, how is this? Who is this person, and why is she getting into politics? She went from Pose to Broadway and into politics. Is where she's been ever since. And ever since she's been into politics, she's been on that very dark, dark pathway, in my opinion, that doesn't liberate African American people. She's liberating herself. And, you know, she's very open about herself. You know, Angelica talks a lot about her dating life and stuff. She's dating a woman now. You know, I don't know how to categorize all of that. But she seems to be very happy in what she's doing. But the thing is, to me, is all of these people are all friends. So why would y'all all waste everybody's time saying we should look up to Laverne, we should look up to any of you guys? I'm older than all of them combined. I'm like a fossil. And none of those people were around in the late 90s when I started my transition and got outed at Disney World and in Florida. And it was horrific. I lost my house because my boss would not allow me to work anywhere in the park. I was confined to a bathroom far away. I've told this story over and over again. Nobody cares. And the reason they don't care about my story is because of the way I look. I don't look pretty like Laverne. I don't look pretty like this Hope Giselle. I don't look, you know, real thin and frail like I need a sandwich like this girl on the next now, Angelica Ross. You got all these variations of black transness that's in Hollywood, and they're all collecting a coin off of, you know, they claim that they're trying to liberate people from, well, you know, from the oppressor or whatever. But in reality, when you're in Hollywood, it's very much a mixed community of black and white. And I would beg to differ that in Hollywood, people date whoever the hell they want to date, and their politics don't even matter when it comes to straight people and gay people, because, you know, they don't really care. It's not that serious for them. Otherwise, they would have voted differently. And even in Atlanta, where all the black people are over there, it's the same thing. You have a lot of black Republicans. There are a ton of black Republicans, and they're in your face every day. But I don't hear the conversation going down that road either. It's still sitting over there on Laverne. Laverne, you dated this, you did this, you did that. She did it because she was promoting a show. She was a one-woman show. She was doing it at City Winery. I got that much out of it. So while everybody else blew this whole thing out of control, I just documented it because I was like, I just want to come here and talk about this because, excuse me, there's something on my tongue. But I just wanted to talk about it because I was like, well, I don't really get why she's being, you know, really jumped on like this about who she dated. She's not even with the person anymore. And it's her story. And I think the jealousy part for me is a lot of black trans women are not experiencing that level of intimacy to where that girl is radiating through the screen about this mega guy who made her feel good for 3 years. And I think she should always hold on to that love, because I'm divorced. I know what it feels like to be in love with somebody and they throw you away and pick somebody white over your darkness and tell you you're the gorilla, you're the monkey, you're a fat cow, and tell you you're nothing, that all you're good for is sex and throwing away. I experienced that on my own as a black trans person from someone who is an African over in North Africa, in the Egyptian African. So I know what that's like because I dated outside my country to someone who, you know, was closer to black. And I dated a black person over there too. It's all the same. I've never dated anybody black American because black American men normally aren't attracted to somebody that looks like me. That just was not my thing. And they never, you know, would come up to me and try to date me. I dated whoever came up to me. That's who I dated. I didn't care about their politics at the time. It didn't matter. I just wanted somebody to love me. And what's wrong with that if Laverne found love? This girl over here, Hope Giselle, says she found love. You heard Quay saying that she found love. Everybody on the panel said they found love, so I don't see a problem other than when it comes down to how people vote. You think that all of these people in these relationships sit around and discuss politics? I bet you they don't, because they would have voted differently. Because look at the mess that's happening now with Project 2025 in full effect. Now you got Project Esther on the way, and that's supposed to exterminate all of the LGBT alphabet completely off the planet. They're not even going to ship you out of the country, baby. It tells them to exterminate you. If you haven't heard about Project Esther, you might want to Google her or ChatGPT. I'm sure ChatGPT will give you the deets. And when you see Next Now podcast Angelica Ross and she's caping for Palestine, ask yourself, will Palestine cape for the black folks like that? Because we've been in bondage for 400 years. So who was caping for us to get us out of bondage? Every time I look around the planet, it's always, everybody complaining about African American people. And I don't get it, because it's just we're all black, we all come from Africa. At the end of the day, our ancestors we've been scattered all over the globe. Most of the globe is got African DNA in it. Why are we even having to deal with Project 2025 or any of that for a few non-black billionaires to suck up all the money and destroy the planet if that's what they want to do? I don't know what their end goal is, but if it's to fly off to Mars, go. I don't really know. But at the end of the day, I just find it really sad that you see 20 to 30,000 children over in South Sudan who are having to flee for their lives, are also being starved out, also being kidnapped, also being abused in every way, shape, and form, and being forced into an army at a very young age, and nobody really talks about it. I saw a documentary on it from, I think, NPR talked about it a lot. So I used to follow that when I would be in my car listening to it. There's also, children, 20,000 or more down in those copper mines digging for gold, digging for minerals in Nigeria and West Africa with, child labor laws. Those kids are being starved, being abused, being equally treated horribly and murdered under those horrific conditions. But I don't see Angelica talking about, I don't see none of these black folks who claim that they're pro-liberal talking about these things. Not even Hope Giselle, who's married to somebody black. So my thing is, I enjoyed the Olay conversation. I think I'm going to wrap all of that up and just store it over there, because I just think at the end of the day, I think it's just a lot of filler. I don't think that there's seriousness there. I love Dominique, the one who was kind of moderating everything. She seems to understand the person who was the book writer, literary person. They seem to be on the same page with the whole conversation. But to me, at the end of the day, it seems sort of superficial. And to give Laverne her flowers, I think every day all they give her flowers. She is the face of Mugler. And I love that for her. I love the fact that she has a career in Hollywood and that she's successful. And I'm happy that she found love in her life. I don't have a problem with her doing her one-woman show. I thought that was very creative. It definitely blew up and got everybody on the planet talking about her and putting her in the spotlight, negative or positive. I don't think it's going to hurt her bag. I think a lot of girls want to replace her because they're jealous of her. That would be my first thought. And I will keep, I could name names, but I'm not going to do that because that's not what this is about. But I think a lot of people want to replace her and sit in her seat. At the end of the day, I want people to know that I was in the late 90s in a situation where I was about to end my life because I did not know I was trans. I thought I was, the G word, and I was not. And I was in a very confused state for most of my life. But then when I looked back on it after I started transitioning, it all made sense. I put the building blocks together from the beginning. I wanted to be a girl. And I knew in my mind from way back when that I wanted to be a girl. I just didn't know what that meant. I didn't know. I thought that was what being gay meant. But no, I was from a small town. And that was the issue. And everywhere I went in a little town, because my mom kept us in church all the time, I was just being fed biblical babble. You know, I know it very well, just like T.S. Madison or anybody else. I know that, you know, we all have similarities when our stories start cropping up. The only difference is a lot of these girls said they went into, you know, prostitution and stuff like that to survive. I never got kicked out of my house, so I went to college at a very young age. But at that age, I was very suicidal also because of all of the bullying and stuff like that. And I'm always trying to reach out to younger audiences because I know that in this political climate, it is so scary hearing the orange man talk down about children who are trans-identified. It is scary. And if, you know, when they start talking about Project Esther, it includes all the alphabet. So it's going to be scary for those gay children as well, and those that are queer identified. It's going to get scarier for them. And so as an adult who has survived all of this stuff, and I was around before Laverne, before any of that Olay cast, I'm the older person, them people can't speak for me. Okay, nobody speak for me but me. And just because I don't look like Laverne, and I don't look like Hope Giselle or, you know, Dominique, all these real pretty, you know, passing people or whatever, I was passing for a long time with just like this, with no makeup. When I go out in the world, wasn't nobody calling me no he, him, and all of that stuff. A lot of people have gone onto my TikTok and saw my profile with all the T.S. Sky Doll and Princess Ariel and all that stuff. That's from my Disney World past, because I held on to it because I said, yeah, you ran me off the job, and I'm going to get you guys back, and I'm going to take that name for myself. And I went down to the courthouse and had my name changed. And so I go by Ariel. My friends call me Ariel. I do have that, you know, my name is Emmy, you know, it's incorporated in that name. And so it was my way of holding on to Disney because I loved my job. I was there for a decade. I had built my little bit of wealth that I had, my car, my Jeep, my house, all the things, my collectibles and everything, and I lost it all because of a handful of non-melanated people who thought I wasn't passable enough or pretty enough to be in their department, and they wanted me gone, and they made my life a living hell. And I've talked about it, I've documented it. Nobody wants to hear it because of the way I look, the way my body looks to them. I don't look beautiful to them. I don't look like a little thin gazelle. Well, guess what? All black people aren't skinny. All black people aren't going to look light skin. I'm not going to bleach my skin. I'm not going to augment my face or whatever. I love the way I look. You might not like it, but I love it. And what you eat don't make me poop, like I said before. Who you date don't make me squirm and feel all gushy inside. I have had plenty of dates all across the board. I have told you guys many a time, what's for me is for me. Who cash apps me, cash apps me. Who kisses me, kisses me. I don't care what their race is. That's between me and that person. And if I want to date somebody of another persuasion who finds me attractive, that's who I'm going to date at the end of the day. And yeah, I have the choice of dating them based on their political beliefs or not dating them. Because I could tell you right around here where I live, I see plenty of mega supporters toting their little mixed race grandbabies around every single day. So you mean to tell me all of these people around here are really fully believing in that mess? Because what's going to happen to your little mixed kids? What's going to happen to the little brown kids that y'all carrying around? You still running down there to eat at that Mexican restaurant down the street. It's packed full of the non-melanated people. So to me, there's hypocrisy in all of this because all across the board, you're not fixing to be running down there and working in no cotton fields and picking apples and oranges. You sitting here watching all this stuff happen to these people, and the conversation is about who you dated this mega. Girl, please. Y'all got bigger fish that y'all need to be worried about because Project Esther is looking at you like this. I'm going to get every last one of y'all. I don't care what your alphabet title is. And this time, we're going to exterminate you out the picture. It's only going to be non-melanated people, straight folks here. We don't want nothing other than that on this continent of the USA's Americas, right here. So, good luck with all of that. I'll try my best to leave a little information on what the conflicts that are going on in Sudan and West Africa to give a little bit more perspective on the suffering of children that are brown and black, as well as the Arab kids in Palestine, because it's not just happening in Palestine, it's happening in Africa too. And I suggest you guys go to Asia, because there's stuff going on over there as well with children. If that's going to be your plea that made you run down there and vote for Jill Stein, and all you girls are friends and y'all love each other and y'all hang out at Angelica's crib or whatever, because I heard go back and watch there's a lot of conversation going on over there. Go back and watch the Olay with Laverne Cox. I suggest everybody watch it. It's 2 hours. Get your popcorn. It's very heated on some stuff that was over my head. But at the end of the day, when I saw, the conversations going on about Laverne's dating choices, and then I saw who all of them are friends with, it was Angelica. And Angelica was the one who was promoting Jill Stein the entire time that Kamala Harris was running, and talking about Palestine the whole time. She did it. Some of them other girls from Pose was doing it. And I dropped all of them. I stopped following them because I thought, this is not going to turn out well if you guys don't vote for this woman and get her in office, because the Orange Man is coming for all of us in the alphabet, not just the trans girls. They're starting out with us. If they can eliminate all of our rights and stuff, they're going to get you guys next, because it always works out that way. And after they get the LGBT together, they're coming for, well, they ain't never stopped messing with the black folks. So I can't even say that with a straight face. They ain't never stopped coming after people of color. So that's from the door. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you guys go and check it out. I don't will not say anything really too toxic about it. I think it's a long conversation. It's very winded and heated at points of it. And drop me a note and let me know what you think, if you agree with me that, date whoever the hell you're going to date, because at the end of the day, we were stolen and they've been mating with us from day one anyway. Breeding us, making us breed with each other and all kinds of crap, if you know your black history. Don't never forget that, because at the center of all of this is still a pathway, forward. And unity, we're better together than separate, I'm telling you. Now, I had a guy, one more thing, who attacked me last night in the live. He went on my post and saw that I was trans, because, I got T.S. Skydoll all across most of my posts. I ain't really hiding anything, and I'm not out looking for anybody. Whatever it's going to be for me is coming to me. He was missing an arm. He just was one arm. He looked like he hadn't had a bath. His hair was dirty. He definitely had children already, so somebody's laying up with that fool. But he was trying to, get the clicks and the likes onto his channel, so he came in and told the other black guys that we were all in this little match game that I was trans. And I said, well, I don't think it's really a secret, but we're just here to play the game. And so the guys were like, we're just here playing the game. We're not trying to get in her business like that. Go, that's to do, that's to do, that's to do. And I'm like, okay, so Aunt, you went in my profile and you saw all that, so that's why you came back over here, because you want your profile to blow up. You're not going to get a blown up profile over me, sir, because I'm not attracted to you. You look like a damn caveman and you're just missing an arm, bitch. How about that? But I didn't say that to him because I didn't want to hurt his feelings, even though he was really trying to shred me to pieces. But I could look at him and tell he looked dirty and disgusting, but somebody was sleeping with him, because I heard kids in the background, which I'm sure those were his children. Like, snip, stop it. That's not going to be a nice reproduction for the planet. We don't want any more of those little creatures running around, please. So, I wish I could have recorded it so you guys could just see it in real time, because even me, like, just the way I am at night, I usually keep my hair tied up. I'm not going to put on wigs and makeups and eyelashes and all that for people who don't like my dark skin anyway, and they look like me. So usually the guys that are from outside the United States seem to be more flirtatious and friendly towards me, as opposed to ones that are from the United States, because we're still battling, of the sexes of who is beautiful and who's ugly, who's trans, who's real, who's fake. You're replacing me. We're still doing all this stupidity stuff. And it's like, nobody can ever replace you. And you should always feel good enough about yourself that you can go out in the world and find what you need to find for yourself. I can imagine all of the men around the world, a plethora of gorgeous, hot men, enough for every single black woman on the planet. And there are lots of black men on the planet because we are spread all over the planet. So why are you sitting here fighting over, one-armed dudes that are sitting out there playing those little stroll games about, I told you, dude, I told you, dude. That's a dude, that's a nigga, that's a dude. Ugh. Nobody wants you. And obviously you already got somebody because look at all them kids, the make-makes you got back there. I don't know. I wouldn't date you, sir, if we were the last two people on the planet Earth. I'd just go ahead and jump off into the pit of fire, bitch. I'd jump right on into the volcano because you ain't my type. And your mouth alone was just doing too much. It was very telling also, And so if you guys want to come onto my TikTok and check out the match game, we usually do it nightly. I also do karaoke. I sing a little bit. We listen to music just for a couple of hours at night, and we just do that every night. Like whatever, my group of friends that come on, and we support each other that way. And we have a good time. We were doing it last year. I stopped for a year, and then I came back just about maybe a month ago. And so that's what we're doing. Come and check it out. It's Ariel Emmy 1313 at TikTok. If you want to come onto my YouTube channel, check out all of my stuff over there. I talk about workplace discrimination. I do a lot of posting over there on just a pish-posh of everything. It's all categorized and stuff. Just go through it. If you want to do that, it's Princess Ariel M. If you want to go on my Instagram, it's Tumundo de Sarinas or Emmy Ariel or Princess Ariel M, I think. I forget. I have about 4 or 5 TikToks. And I'm on Substack as well. And I'm on Fanbase. So I'm everywhere. Anywhere and everywhere it seems like. So check it out. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for listening. This is a 30-minute, 35-minute rundown of me rambling on about the Olay and Friends with Laverne. Check it out. Thank you guys. Bye.